Head to Home Depot and get this board. Now it's time to get started on this project. First, I laid the board on a flat surface and began tracing an organic shape following the wood grain all the way around the board. Next, I secured the board to my work surface using a couple of clamps, then used a jigsaw to cut out the shape I traced. Once the board was cut, I used my orbital sander to sand both sides of the board, starting with 100 grit sandpaper and working up to 220 grit sandpaper. After sanding was complete, I wiped the board down well, then applied 2 coats of gel stain in the color hickory to both sides of the board according to the directions on the can. Once the board was dry, I applied 2 coats of a satin polyurethane, again according to the directions on the can, making sure to sand in between coats with 220 grit sandpaper. Head over to your local Walmart garden center or go to walmart.com and grab 4 of these $10 planters. First, I wiped the rims of the planters with a clean cloth. I applied an even layer of a strong construction adhesive on the rim of one planter. Next, I flipped the second planter upside down and placed it on top of the planter with the adhesive. Once the adhesive was dry, I used a dark wood filler to fill in the gaps between the planters and then allowed them to dry again. Once dry, I used 220 grit sandpaper to sand the bowls and the wood filler down. My goal for sanding was to remove the shiny texture from the planters and to make the wood filler seamless. I allowed the planters to dry for a few hours, then used a chip brush and the same gel stain I used for the board to create a faux wood grain effect on the planters. I applied the construction adhesive to the tops of the planters, then smoothed it out in an even layer with a foam brush. I placed the wooden board on top, making sure it was centered on the planters, then weighed it down with heavy books and allowed the adhesive to dry for 24 hours. Now I have a beautiful coffee table that is the perfect addition to my living room. I hope that this inspired you to make your very own coffee table. Thanks for watching Home Talk, and see you next time.